So like if I were to like pull a card and it has like upon it like a lady with like 16 arms and like 14 boobs and like 19 swords. I don't know where that... 16 arms, 19 swords. She's got 3 swords unaccounted for. Hello everyone, and oh my god, so nice of you to notice. Yes, something's different about me. That's amazing that you are so perceptive. I did do my nails a different color. Look. This feels very like Evanescence to me, right? Like, do you guys remember Evanescence? There's that like one Evanescence album and like the like cover image is like Amy Lee being like, God, that really affected me. Evanescence really affected me. Anyways, hello everyone. I'm Ryan Sala. Yes, okay, yes. You got me. You got me. I dyed my hair pink. Okay? Alright? Okay? 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 And the reason that I did this will become clear in a second, but I don't need to explain myself to anybody. I know that like everyone sees a like grown gay person like bleaching their hair and like then dyeing their hair and they like admit that like they're in crisis, but we are all in crisis right now. Like all of us are at like some level in some sort of like crisis or turmoil, so I don't know why it's like just me getting the flack for this. Like I don't know why like I walk out on the street and not everybody has like shockingly pink hair, right? Like I just, it feels so alienating. Like it's like just me out there in like the food store and like Whole Foods getting my almond butter and like it's like me and like one like old like psychic grandmother with like blue hair. I just thought life would be different. Anyhow, that's not what I'm here to talk about, but it kind of is. Let's see if I can make like a long story short. Recently, I was hanging out with my friend Victoria Lee, who wrote The Fever King and the Fever Wake duology. Incredible, you should go definitely check it out. And over dumplings, we sat in their Upper East Side apartment and decided to do a tarot reading to divine various things that were occupying our minds, our beautiful minds. And it got me thinking how much time I spent with tarot decks in middle and high school, and I sort of lost touch with them in college, but I used to have a Thoth tarot deck from forever ago, but I haven't acquired one recently. And so I decided to ask Twitter about favorite tarot decks. People submitted a bunch of different ideas, and I had this reservation with buying a tarot deck online because something about that feels so like deeply impersonal. And I just sit with that because ultimately I was like, well, what am I expecting? And that's how I realized that like in my mind I was gonna like walk into like a occultism shop and I was going to like, you know, be led into a back room and something was gonna glow. I was gonna pluck it out of a dusty bookshelf and like the shop lady was gonna be like,
oh, no one can open that book.
And then I was gonna open it and all of these cards were gonna fly out, and that's when I realized that I was actually in my mind remembering the very first episode of Card Captors. If you haven't watched Card Captor Sakura, you absolutely should. It's a fantastic anime and it is deeply entwined with like my love of tarot. Anyhow, it was like sitting with that fantasy and like also like rewatching all of like Card Captors that I decided that I was gonna order a deck, and that totally drove my decision, and also that's what dyed my hair pink. It wasn't me. It was like truly this like fantasy that like lived through me and dyed my hair pink. And at this point I have to like give a big shout out to like Phil Stamper and Clarabelle Ortega, who dealt with me texting them nonstop for the past like 4 hours as I like bleached my hair, bleached it again, gave myself a haircut, and then dyed it pink, and like asked them a million questions about like what I should do. So thank you. I'm sorry that I ignored literally all of your advice. So the 2 decks that I went with we have first and foremost the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck, and we also have the Star Spinner Tarot. Now, before I get to unpacking these lovely boxes, I figure it would be worthwhile to kind of like unpack my relationship with tarot, but don't worry, I'm going to keep it like very short. If you're looking for like an extensive lesson on this, like I'm not the person for this. Like there's tons of other people who know a lot more about this than I do, so I definitely suggest like seeking them out. Like do a little Google. And if you look at like most people's videos about like tarot, a lot of them will basically say like it's not necessarily a system to divine the future, but it is a system to sit and meditate with, you know, symbols that kind of help you reflect on your past and help you unpack, you know, the intuition that's going on inside of you. It basically gives you something to reflect upon. And I actually think that's very useful. I think any sort of like meditation or reflection is a very useful thing for problem solving, because I think oftentimes when we encounter a problem or we ask ourselves a question, we think that the next step is an answer, and that's not always true. Sometimes you kind of have to ruminate on something. And so I think if you're talking to a deck of cards and if you're actually sitting with the symbols that it gives you, the cards that it gives you, it forces you to kind of think about things in a way that maybe will unstick the assumptions you're making about a situation. And so that's kind of what a lot of people treat tarot as. And a lot of people shy away from like basically saying that like it will define the future. Me, however, I think, so I am like of the mindset that like for the most part they're a system to meditate upon, and they are a form of reflections and symbols, and I love all that. That's fine. That's like very transcendent. But like I also fully admit that at any given point I am like ready to accept magic at all costs. So like if I were to like pull a card and it has like upon it like a lady with like 16 arms and like 14 boobs and like 19 swords. I don't know where that 16 arms, 19 swords. She's got 3 swords unaccounted for. But that doesn't matter. Like I'm fully expecting to like turn the corner and she's gonna be there at the deli. Okay, so listen though. I got the decks for like personal reasons, right? Like I wanted to like sit and like meditate upon them and like look at the pretty drawings and like basically pretend that I was in like card captors. I wasn't planning on like doing many readings for other people, but I already have my first client. In a little bit, I am going to be FaceTiming with a person who is sitting in a bathtub outside someplace in California. That's all I know about them, but they have asked me to do their reading. And I know like close to nothing, but I'm definitely gonna give it my all anyways, which really is like how I approach most things. Anyhow, why don't we get to unboxing? Okay, we're gonna start with the Star Spinner Tarot. So the reason that I got this deck is because someone had suggested that if I really liked card captors, I would probably like the art in this deck, and already I can tell that's probably true. These actually do kind of remind me of the cloud cards. Not that I think tarot and cloud cards are the same thing, because like clearly they're not, but I will say that some sort of emotional resonance is probably important between you and like your tarot deck. So if you know, like if it's gonna be anime, then that's what's gonna do it for me. So really I feel like I'm beyond judgment. Oh, I love these. The Magician, the Empress. Ah, okay, so this is actually the main reason that I got this deck is because the Lovers is a iconic card in a tarot deck, but this card has a few different versions of it that are queer. So look at this. You actually get to pick which version of it you want to use. How gorgeous is that? You know, one time I was at a Renaissance fair and I paid like 25 bucks for a psychic to do my tarot cards, and there were a lot of wands, and she made this whole analogy about how wands wore my suit because I was a writer and they like represented like pens or something like that. And I really, you know what, like a wiser person might have dismissed this, but like I truly have clung to it forever and it's served me well. Literally me. So my verdict is that I absolutely love the Star Spinner deck. I think the colors and the imagery are just absolutely gorgeous. There's such a grace to the illustrations, just such intention to the way that things are placed that I really have to appreciate the design for these cards. And also, I gotta be honest, I love the backs of these cards. I think that something that I always look for in artwork is sort of like a hidden intricacy and something that looks like deceptively simple, and these cards are very much that. Gorgeous. Alright, so now we have the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck, and the reason I got this is because it's in the Art Nouveau style and it has foil. First and foremost, anything with foil captivates me. I love things that are shiny. I think ever since I read the Rainbow Fish and like the Rainbow Fish was like this like shiny creature, I have always loved shiny things, and I really felt like the Rainbow Fish got like a very raw deal, like literally got told by this like omniscient octopus to disassemble its literal fins and give them to people who are less shiny. That never sat well. So in my life I have decided to take it upon myself to accumulate as many things that are shiny as possible. Also, I wanted something that was illustrated, but not necessarily illustrated in a way that was like recognizably inspired by anime, and so this sort of fits into that mold for me. It's a little bit more obscure to me, and I think for that reason it leaves more room for interpretation that's not necessarily guided by other artistic influences that have been pressed upon me. the face of confidence. Oh, these cards feel beautiful, and look at the backs. But of course, here they are, the heterosexuals ruining everything. Oh, this is a bad bitch. Like, you know a bad bitch when you see her. Oh my god, she's got one toe out. Look at her, little peekaboo toes. I don't love this death card. It sort of looks like death just told like a really bad joke. She's just like, oh god, and he's like, come on, it's funny. Oh my god, Miss Temperance. She would absolutely win the Maxi Challenge or RuPaul's Drag Race. I don't know why, but this judgment card makes me think of like the little people that are like screaming in the foyer of Ursula's grotto in Little Mermaid, like all the people that she's like cursed and raked across the coals, and they're just like oh, and that's like Ursula up there being like, you guys hungry? I've seen this on Tinder. Oh, I wish I saw this on Tinder. Look at her. They're all gonna laugh at you. So my overall impression of this deck is I like it a lot. I like the soft colors and the illustrations, but I actually ultimately found this to be a little bit more bland than I was anticipating, and maybe that'll change as I interact with it, but I really liked the diversity of the other deck and found this one to be, as a result, just kind of very uniform in the imagery that it showed, and that to me, as someone who, for the most part, is really drawn to images, was kind of a detractant. So I like it, and I'm definitely going to use it. I like the foil. Again, I like anything that shimmers, but I'm hoping that a lot of the resonance kind of develops over time, because I didn't have an immediately great reaction to this deck. And this has been my unboxing. I think next time I will probably try to do a reading, so if you guys have any big questions, let me know, but otherwise we're just going to ask about the fate of Ryan's publishing career as I try to figure out what the hell is going on in 2020. If anyone else knows more about tarot, feel free to drop a comment, and I would love to look up as many videos as possible, so let me know what your favorites are and I will check them out. Thanks! Mwah. Hello, it's me, Amelia. Oh my god, and she's reading Reverie. Oh, can you believe it? Oh my god. A bitch with taste.